and final wishes. Now my kids will have everything they need in one place.
Ready to learn more? Call for free information and your free gift. There's no obligation. Every policy we issue comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. You have nothing to lose. Why wait? Call now.
Call 1-800-348-4433 for your free information and your free gift. That's 1-800-348-4433. There's no obligation. 1-800-348-4433. Call now.
Ways to give back and provide relief to firefighters in need. Tomorrow at 8 a.m. on the KTLA 5 Morning News.
Now at 7, the week-long firefight continues as the focus begins to shift to the largest recovery effort in California history. The price tag now pegged at $275 billion.
And President Biden caps a 50-year career in public office with his Oval Office farewell, his warning to the nation.
And after 15 months of fighting, could the Israel-Hamas war be nearing its end? What we're learning about the ceasefire deal. The KTLA 5 News at 7 starts right now. Good evening. You're watching the news at 7. I'm Cher Calvin.
And hi, I'm Courtney Farrell in for Micah. Thanks for joining us. Tonight, the deadly Palisades and Eaton fires have claimed at least 25 lives, according to the LA County Medical Examiner's Office. At least 24 people remain missing, with crews searching the rubble for additional victims. The Eaton fire is 45% contained, with the Palisades fire at 19% containment.
44 people have been arrested in the burn areas. 14 of them for burglary. Curfew is in effect right now until 6 a.m. in the mandatory evacuation areas. Officials say anyone caught in the curfew areas without authorization will be arrested and could face jail time and fines. A new report causing outrage around the LA Fire Department's decisions leading up to the dangerous weather conditions last week.
The report in the LA Times says top commanders chose not to assign firefighters and engines to the affected areas in advance of the fires. KTLA's Angelique Kakade has more from Pacific Palisades.
Sharon Courtney, the department is defending their actions, saying they have a system in place. But residents we spoke to here in the Pacific Palisades are now left wondering if more lives and more houses could have been saved if the system were different. As the Palisades fire reached 19% containment Wednesday and dangerous winds continued for a third day, the increasing realities of the devastation it brought begs the question, how did we get here?
The buck always stops with me.
In a press conference this morning, Mayor Bass said ultimately she's responsible, but refused to answer specifics about accusations reported by the Los Angeles Times that LA Fire failed to assign roughly 1,000 available firefighters and dozens of engines to the hillside, and only did so after the fires were already raging, potentially creating scenes like this that show people hosing down their own homes.
There were clearly emergency response vehicles and there were sirens everywhere. Again, you could probably say that there wasn't the response that you would expect.
Residents like Charles Liu now demanding answers.
In regard to the LAFD's position and pre-positioning of our resources, we followed the system in place.
On Wednesday, Fire Chief Crowley further explaining the agency's system.
The system in place looks at the overall weather and risk. With that, we pre-deployed the resources in very, very calculated ways throughout the city, also not knowing where a fire might start.
And defending the department's actions, saying they used their resources to call out to all off-duty firefighters to surge up.
Our firefighters jumped on the pumps, our additional 1,000 engines that you're talking about, and they went to work.
But the timing of why they weren't there as the winds picked up doesn't sit well with some, wondering whether this system was adequate at all for such an unprecedented event.
The Los Angeles residents need answers, and there needs to be parameters and safeguards and measures put in place to ensure that this never happens again.
Now, KTLA has reached out to LAFD for a request to comment on this report. So far, though, have not heard back. For now, reporting here in Pacific Palisades, Angelique Kakade, back to you in Hollywood.
Meanwhile, LAPD Chief Jim McDonnell has provided details on 2 arson suspects arrested near the current fire zones on Tuesday. One incident occurred around 5:15 p.m. near Glen Oaks and Van Nuys Boulevards. McDonnell saying that suspect admitted to starting a fire because he liked the smell of burning leaves. Another incident took place around 9:30 when a female suspect setting multiple piles of trash on fire. This happened in East Hollywood. In total, some 100 people have now been arrested in fire zones for charges including arson, burglary, looting, and vandalism. This as LA County DA Nathan Hochman delivered a warning to those attempting to take advantage of fire victims. Listen.
We have sent this warning, and I'll say it again. The question is not if, but when you will be arrested. You will then be prosecuted, and then you will be punished to the full extent of the law.
Now, all this as federal and local law enforcement leaders have partnered on a joint regional fire crimes task force to investigate and prosecute fire-related crimes, including arson, fraud, looting, and illegal drone use. The task force includes representatives from the U.S. Attorney's Office, FBI, ATF, Homeland Security, and the LAPD, among others. U.S. Attorney Martin Estrada saying as the rebuilding process begins, quote, "We will not permit victims to be re-victimized." Meanwhile, homeowners who have lost everything in the wildfires are defying evacuation orders to protect their properties from looters.
Officials say dozens of residents have chosen to ignore official orders to evacuate and are taking the necessary actions to protect their property into their own hands. Ktla Dt.'s Mary Beth McDade joins us live in Altadena with more on this angle. Hi, MB.
Hi there, Court and Sharon. Yes, one of the homeowners tells us that they stayed behind not only to protect their homes from looters, but also from any flare-ups, which they've been seeing and stomping out. And she also talks to us about how all of her disaster preparedness has really paid off.
We do live in California after all, and there could be earthquakes, there could be mudslides, and I didn't think it could happen like this, but there were fires.
When Eve Anna Manley moved to California, her Altadena neighbor taught her to be prepared for disasters.
And he had like 55-gallon drums of water. He had a reloading center. He put in the whole house generator, and I followed after. I learned from him. I went to CERT classes with him.
She also redid her wood shake shingle home with concrete shingles, and she has Starlink to help keep her connected to the internet. Because Manley's home survived the Eaton fire, and because of all her preparations, she chose not to evacuate and is now helping neighbors who also chose not to go.
I can do laundry for other people. That's another thing I'm doing, and cook bacon and eggs for people, and let them have a hot shower, because none of these people around here have hot water or laundry running.
They want to stay and protect their homes from any flare-ups and from any looters. Manley says her and her dogs are prepared if anyone tries to come into her house.
I do have firearms, and I've been, calling my friends to make sure I know how to legally exist with them.
She says her and her neighbors, who've dubbed themselves the stayers, know if they pass through the roadblocks, they won't be allowed back. And let me tell you, there are many checkpoints. Manley and her fellow stayers had been getting supplies dropped off.
Someone could meet us at the National Guard point at the end of the street and hand us whatever we